Let me tell you something strange about people who cut off their family. We live in a world where blood is supposed to mean forever, where loyalty is inherited, where forgiveness is framed as a duty. And yet, some people walk away from the very people who raised them. And here's the question that always lingers in the silence that follows. How does someone sever something that was supposed to be unbreakable? It's easy to assume cruelty, bitterness, ingratitude. It's easy to say they are running from responsibility. But that's not the full picture. Beneath the surface, there's an entire psychology unfolding, a quiet reckoning between belonging and becoming. A person standing at the edge of their history, asking whether survival sometimes requires distance. See, for some people, cutting off family is not rebellion, it's regulation. It's not about hatred, it's about nervous system safety. Because sometimes the place that taught you your name also taught you fear, and that contradiction is heavy. You notice it in subtle ways. They stop coming to holidays, they change their number, they avoid certain last names in conversation, they answer questions about home with a smile that feels rehearsed. Other people whisper, "How could they? But it's your mother, but it's your father, but family is everything." And maybe for some people it is, but the people who create distance from family often aren't indifferent. They are overwhelmed. They are responding to patterns, chronic invalidation, emotional volatility, identity erasure that their body has cataloged for years. This isn't about a single argument, it's about accumulated microfractures. In healthy systems, you can disagree and still belong. You can grow without being punished for it. But in some systems, growth feels like betrayal. Independence feels like abandonment. So sometimes distance becomes the only way to breathe. It's not about being cold. It's about being able to exist without shrinking. From the outside, it looks dramatic, final, extreme. But from the inside, it often feels gradual, like a door that closed quietly after years of knocking. For some, the decision doesn't come in anger, it comes in exhaustion, a slow realization that every visit leaves you dysregulated, that every conversation reopens something you've been trying to heal, that you become a smaller version of yourself the moment you step back into that house. There's a grief in that awareness, because cutting off family isn't just losing people, it's losing the fantasy of what they could have been, the imagined apology, the hoped-for understanding, the version of home that never quite existed. Estrangement is rarely about one explosive moment. It's about repeated experiences of not being seen, not being believed, not being safe enough to unfold. It's the quiet declaration, "I am allowed to exist, even if you disapprove of how I exist." Most of us are conditioned to equate love with endurance. We are told that strength is staying, that maturity is tolerating, that forgiveness is obligatory. But what if maturity sometimes looks like leaving? What if love without safety is not love, but obligation wrapped in guilt? There's a cultural script that says family is sacred no matter what. And maybe family is sacred, but sacred does not mean immune from harm. In some systems, silence is loyalty. In others, silence is survival. When someone cuts off their family, they are not often rejecting connection. They are seeking a different kind of connection, one built on mutual respect rather than hierarchy. Because think about it, when was the last time you felt smaller around someone who was supposed to make you feel safe? When was the last time your body told you something your loyalty tried to ignore? Not everyone who cuts off their family does so from clarity. Some do it from unprocessed anger, from wounds that echo louder than truth. Distance can be empowering. It can also be reactive. Family is often the place where you first learned love and the place where you first learned fear. The same people who protected you may have also wounded you. The same house that held your childhood may hold your trauma. When you step away, you are not only redefining your relationships, you are redefining yourself. You are asking, who am I outside this story? Family is often our first mirror. If that mirror distorts you long enough, you might forget your own outline. And sometimes, distance is how you redraw it. Still, the pain doesn't disappear. There are birthdays you don't attend, stories you don't hear, a lineage that feels both yours and not yours. Grief and relief coexist. Freedom and loneliness share the same room. But the longer someone honors their boundaries, the more stable their inner world becomes, the more they trust their perception, the more they believe their experiences were real. Distance can transform from rebellion into integration, not an act of war, an act of alignment. When someone creates distance from chronic relational stress, their body often softens, sleep improves, anxiety eases, clarity returns. This isn't about punishment, it's about regulation. People may see the silence and assume bitterness. They see the absence and assume pride. But their distance isn't emptiness, it's discernment. Maybe confidence isn't the ability to endure everything. Maybe it's the ability to say, "This hurts me," and honor that truth. There's something sacred about protecting your inner world, about refusing to let history dictate your identity, about choosing peace even when it costs you proximity. So the next time you hear about someone who cut off their family, maybe pause before you judge. Maybe they didn't leave because they stopped loving. Maybe they left because they started loving themselves. Because walking away from family is rarely about hatred. It's about survival. It's about identity. It's about the quiet courage to choose alignment over approval. And maybe, just maybe, being related by blood doesn't guarantee safety. Sometimes the truest expression of adulthood is not staying loyal to pain. It's choosing peace, even when it changes your last name in your own heart.